I'm with Reverend Elaine Beattie of the United Church here in Manotick. Reverend, explain to me what you describe as an unseen need in the suburban end of Ottawa.
I think in the suburban end of Ottawa there's a lot of poverty, and I think that poverty is hidden. I think it exists, but it's hidden behind closed doors. People are very shy about coming forward and saying that they need help with food, they need help with housing, they need help paying their bills.
Yeah, and often areas that look affluent, the loneliness and the poverty is hidden under layers and layers and layers, and is very hard to break through.
So our neighbors, we may not realize, are in need. So what are you asking us? What's our role as someone who's just watching this?
By being involved, keeping an eye on your friends, get to know your neighbours. I think that's one of the most important things any of us can do. We are in a very insular society. I mean, we connect via technology more than we do with our neighbours next door. You know, how long have you lived in the street? How well do you know your neighbour? Mm-hmm. You know, do you sit in the front of your house in the summer weather and say hi to everybody as they're passing by, or do you sit in the back where you don't see anybody? Do you knock on your neighbour's door just to say hello, how are you? Do you get to know? And it's not being nosy, because I think people are afraid of being nosy, but do you know how often your neighbours go in and out? You know, would you recognise if your neighbour hadn't left their house for 3 days?
Yeah.
And, you know, if you did, would you know who to call? And I think that's some of the ways that we need to connect with one another. Just get to know your neighbour, love your neighbour.
So why is the United Church taking this on?
Church has always been a place to want to nourish people. On a Sunday morning, we try to do it in a spiritual fashion. But as followers of Christ, we're told to love our neighbours. Well, how do we love our neighbours? Loving our neighbours is by me looking at my life and thinking, well, what do I have? I have a home and I have food on the table. And so if I love my neighbour, then I want my neighbour to have that as well. And so that's why we're called to love our neighbour. We're called to serve. We come here to worship, and then we're sent out into the world to serve, to be servants, to love our neighbour, regardless of who our neighbour is.
If we could do one thing today, what would you like it to be?
Well, the thought that springs to my mind would be if one street in Finlay Creek, Barrhaven, Riverside South decided in the summer that they were going to block off their street and have a block party. Pull the barbecues out the front and everybody have a potluck barbecue party and have the kids playing out in the front and have some fun and get to know each other. And no vehicles for the day and no technology for the day, and just get out, have fun and play.
That's a great idea. I think I will try to initiate that. Thank you so much. Great advice. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.